And we are live. Welcome back to the Buzzkill channel, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let me go ahead and just do my introduction. First of all, I just want to let y'all know that this whole entire channel is about me learning about the world and what's really going on out there. This is something, school's not going to teach me none of the stuff that I've been learning on the internet, especially when it comes to people like Jimmy Dore. All right. When it comes to people like, people who pretty much talk about politics, people who talk not just politics, but people who also talk about geopolitics. All right. I'm learning about everybody and anybody possible except for the mainstream media. Because let's be honest, these people are liars. They've been lying to us for God knows how long, and they're going to continue to keep lying to us because let's be honest, there's a genocide going on across the world on the other side of the planet, and these people are still supporting it. So now you expect me to what? Turn on the television and listen to these people tell me what I should and shouldn't believe? Their moral is already corrupt as it is. Like these people are, there's no hope left, man. I'm sorry. Ain't nobody can sit there and watch what's going on and then turn around and say, yes, I can sit here and look at you straight in the face and say, no, there's no genocide going on. Everybody that died was nobody but Hamas. Yeah. Anyways, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I figured why not start here? This is the kind of the big news here after the whole Sneako situation and Andrew Tate with the whole HH song that they played. That was one of the big news that was going on this week, but let's be honest, that's kind of stupid to look. I don't want to look into that because that's infringing upon free speech, and I've been talking about that for quite a while. As a matter of fact, we're gonna talk about it here. Yeah, so speech, that's gonna be our last topic. Let me go ahead and take this off. This was just my there you go. So let's start off with here. Here's a Zionist donor who threatened Charlie Kirk right before the murder. Ooh. So in case you guys have been sleeping under a rock, which let's be honest, anybody with the internet can pretty much know what's going on. Another person got exposed 2 days ago by Candace Owen, who actually went ahead and, threatened Charlie Kirk before the assassination happened. Let's go ahead and watch it. All right, let's get it.
Be very careful, Charlie. You don't want to be wiped out like an Edomite. This is a donor texting this to him. So Candace Owens broke this story. James Lee posted this. I'm using his post. So she got a hold of a text from a donor to TPUSA, Charlie Kirk's organization, threatening him. Now, he said right before he was killed that he knew they were going to kill him, and that the Jewish donors played into every stereotype possible, and that they were bullying him, and that he can no longer support Israel. And so here is a text that a donor sent to Charlie Kirk right before he was killed. It says, all the people that trusted you. This is a donor speaking to Charlie Kirk, a text.
Sorry.
All the people that trusted you, Jews.
So I just want to make sure that you guys are able to read along as he's reading it.
Jews and Christians, including me. Why would you platform anti-Semites like Candace and Tucker? There are many evangelical Christian Zionists who would never give these people the opportunity to spew their hatred. I'm one of them. You say people are accusing you of being an anti-Semite because you disagree with the Israeli government? Well, what is it exactly that you disagree with? You threaten Jews and Christians with your 30 million followers? Are you kidding?
I mean, okay, let's be honest, okay? She's over here saying, what is it exactly that you disagree with? Oh, I don't know. Maybe there's a fucking genocide going on. Maybe there's an ethnic cleansing of an indigenous group of people that's being completely wiped out in a land that they owned for thousands of years by a bunch of Europeans who just came out of thin air. Well, not literally thin air, but you get what I'm saying, right? People are born in Brooklyn, in Ukraine, in Germany, in Russia, in all these European land. And guess what? They are not saying that, oh, this land was promised to us 3,000 years ago. And because of that, they now have the right to just go over there and take somebody else's land who's been living there for generations. Oh, maybe that's probably why Charlie Kirk was probably turning away from the whole entire Zionism cause.
Very careful, Charlie.
Wow.
You are in violation of the 9th commandment by bearing false witness against your brother, Judah. What? This is real. When was the last time you read your Bible, Charlie? I'm coming to you as a believer. Genesis 12:3, Obadiah and many more prophets warn those who curse Israel will be cursed. Your TPUSA Tampa event was a disaster. Michelle.
These people are so brainwashed, okay? And this is why I don't trust these evangelical pastors, okay? If they do the basic, I'm not a pastor, nor am I a Christian. But one thing that I understand is that the promise was given to Abraham. Only Abraham. It wasn't given to, a bunch of Europeans who are going to come later down the line, back all the way in 21st century. It wasn't promised to them. It was promised to Abraham. But if she had taken the slight opportunity to stand back and say, you know what? Maybe this verse does not apply to what's going on today, because clearly what's going on, God will not accept that. But then again, the Bible does say that, when the Amalekites were being wiped out, they went and just wiped everything out, including donkeys and sheep and cattle, you name it. Everything was wiped out. And they are literally doing the same thing again, according to the Bible, of course.
Bachman was booed, and about 10% walked out on her when she talked about standing with Israel. You brag about how you convinced all these young voters to vote for Trump, but you can't convince them to stand with our Jewish brethren? This is not a joke, Charlie. I'm coming to you as a sister in the faith. You have accomplished so much by the hand of the Almighty, but he's going to lift his hand from you. Don't fall for Tucker, Candace, and the rest. The Jews are under attack. G-D warns us, meaning God, but she won't, I don't know what that's about. She takes the U out. God warns us in the last days that he will wipe out the descendants of Edom because they stood by while their brothers Jacob, Israel, was held in captivity and did nothing. Don't be counted among the Edomites. It will be to your peril.
Ooh.
As well as the unfinished work God was doing to you, was going to do through you. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
I don't
If
trust
that
him.
doesn't sound like a mafia threat, hey, you don't want to end up as one of those Edomites that gets wiped out, do you?
And you know what's funny? Yeah, the FBI is not going to be knocking on our door at all. I mean, imagine I text one of my friends and said, dude, you better be careful, man, or else you just might go ahead and on a live. So just watch out. 2 or 3 days later, he becomes, he goes on. The FBI will be knocking on my door. I will be in custody for 3 months, and they will be questioning every single thing that I did, including how much shit did I take. I mean, that's the logical thing to do. You know what I'm saying? The question will be, how did you know that was going to happen, huh? How did you know? What's going on here? Talk to us. How many shit did you take? How many times did you breathe before you stepped out? How much? They will literally investigate everything to get down to the bottom of it. Meanwhile, you got people like these who literally send threatening messages to Charlie Kirk. The guy ended up being dead. They unalived them in front of millions, perhaps, not even perhaps, in front of billions, and yet nobody has been locked up except for one person. He's not even locked up. They're claiming that he's the one that did it, but let's be quite honest. The evidence that they showed us, like, dude, none of this back up what you're saying. Absolutely none.
Right? Whoa. Be very careful, Charlie. You don't want to be wiped out like an Edomite. This is a donor texting this to him.
Right.
Okay, by the way, the G-D, a way to respectfully write God by omitting the vowel common in Judaism and some Christian faiths to avoid writing the name in vain.
So
that's true. I just remember that. That is definitely true. Yeah. Jews, they when it comes to saying the name of God and stuff, they're very, very cautious of that.
Candace tweeted this out. She's the one who got this text. And she tweets out, The last month of Charlie's life consisted of Zionists routinely pressuring and threatening Charlie for his shifting views on Israel. Were it not for me and the general public, those very same Zionists would have successfully staged a hostile takeover of his legacy. It should disturb you that for the right price, Turning Point was seemingly willing to bury all of this and instead welcome the very same people who tormented him in the end to his platform. I should not have been the one to tell you about the Hampton Summit. She said, I shouldn't have told you about that. The people at TPUSA should have told you about that, but I had to. I should not have been the one to tell you about Josh Hammer lying about Charlie Kirk and what he said, but she had to be the one. I should not have been the one to tell you about this donor who sent that text message. Nor should I have been the one to tell you about Bob Shillman, or the fact that Charlie texted multiple people the night before explicitly stating they are going to kill me. That's right. All of this knowledge came directly from Candace Owen. And by the way, they lied about it. TPUSA should have been the ones telling you this. Not only were they not telling you this, they lied about it when Candace told you about it.
Right.
But I am the one. And I'm made to do all this while sustaining consistent attacks from the very people who purport to carry on his legacy. The entire world sees each and every one of you for what you are. You can kill a man, but you cannot kill the truth. Whoa.
100% true. And this is why I choose to stand beside the truth. I didn't mean to say it like that. But you get what I'm saying. This is why I choose the truth. Because it's always consistent. It never fails. But falsehood, you constantly have to keep updating. It's constantly one step ahead of the truth because it's easy to make up lies. But it's easy to get exposed when you lie about something because guess what? You better be a damn good liar when you decide to lie about something. And these people, they're not good liars. Erica Kirk, not a good liar. You know what I mean? All these people in this, none of them are good liars. So much so that they are going out of their way to fire their own employees because they're scared of the exposure. They're scared of leaks that are coming to Candace Owen. If these people are truthful, if these people they have nothing to do with what happened to Charlie Kirk, why are they trying to suppress what Candace is doing? Why are they firing their employees who have been working for so long? Why are they firing these people? You want to know why? Because they're a bunch of liars. They know something that we don't know. People are getting closer and closer to the truth. Now they're actually sending out cease and desist letters to people like Candace Owen and this other young YouTuber. I don't know his name. But they're starting to send out cease and desist. Rather than getting to the bottom of the truth, rather than saying, hey, what Candace Owen is saying, maybe we should look into it. And they say, no, Candace Owen, shut the hell up. Shut up. Why? Because you're effing with our money. That's their priority.
And guess what? I'm pretty sure we figured out who the lady is. Can't be for sure who sent the text message. But Diligent Denizen says, looks like the TPUSA donor who threatened Charlie Kirk likely was a very angry pro-Israel Lori Cardoza Moore. She describes the very same incident as the text to Charlie Kirk on her own TikTok. She's mad about Tucker Carlson. She also spells God the same way in her text and post, G-D. So here is one of her texts. One who will not deceive is a trustworthy witness, but a spouter of deceptions is a false witness. Proverbs 14:5. Consider the verse when you stand as a witness to those who mislead or intentionally bear false witness. It is a violation of the 9th commandment, which is what's in that text to Charlie. For violence against your brother Jacob, shame shall cover you, and you shall be cut off forever. She quotes Obadiah. Descendants of Esau, Edom, and the members of the tribes of Israel will pay a huge price for how they treated their Jewish brethren. Sounds exactly like those texts. A deeper relationship with G-God of Israel. So that's how she talks. So here's a video of it. Here's her video talking about her exchange with Charlie.
With his mocking voice and his mocking laughter, they were horrified by what they saw.
So she's talking about Tucker Carlson speaking at the Tampa TPUSA event and saying Tucker's mocking voice. Oh, yeah, sure, it's his voice that's the problem. Meanwhile, her voice is a cross between a Siamese cat and a cop siren from 1943. But here we go.
With his mocking voice and his mocking laughter, they were horrified by what they saw. I had 3 couples reach out to me who had been to the Turning Point USA conference, and this was in Tampa a couple weeks ago. They called me and said they were horrified by what they saw. Horrified. They saw Tucker Carlson get up and act like another crazy person, talking, condemning Israel, praising Qatar with his mocking voice and his mocking laughter. So Tucker gets up and speaks at this conference in Tampa, TPUSA, and right after him comes Michelle Bachmann. Michelle has 5 minutes to make an argument for why we have to stand with Israel to these young people at the USA. When she starts talking in that conference about supporting Israel and why America should stand with Israel, the people in the audience start booing her. I spoke with her personally. She said 10% in the room got up and walked out on her. That is shameful. Then Charlie Kirk. This is his event. He's responsible for what people are saying and doing. Does he get up and condemn Tucker or correct Tucker for what he said about Israel and how dangerous Qatar is to us? No. Did Charlie?
Well, this whole entire idea that Qatar is dangerous to America is bullshit. There are literal military bases in Qatar. They are allied. They're a friend of each other. Qatar literally gifted Donald Trump like $40 million worth of a plane. And then on top of that, invested in the American economy. And yet, Qatar is the most evil people in the Middle East.
Get up and defend me.
Meanwhile, you have Israel literally starting war with all its neighbors, dropping bombs on innocent people, starting proxy wars here and there. Now it's trying to start a war with Iran. But no, Qatar is the most evil people in that area. You literally have congressmen who are taking money from the state of Israel. Literally. But yet taking money from Qatar is a taboo. Why is that? Why shouldn't we take money from Qatar? But yet we can take money from Israel. Why? What, is Israel part of America? Is that what you're saying?
Michelle Bachmann, did he condemn the people that got up and walked out on her and that booed her? Did he say why we stand with Israel, we support Israel? No, he didn't. That tells us everything we need to know.
Sounds like she likely suspect of the person who sent that text to Charlie, threatening him. Here's another video of her.
He called me. Charlie Kirk finally responded after 4 months to my question about his view of isolationism and how it is fueling anti-Semitism. And in Charlie's final response to me, he basically threatened me because I called him out and said he was violating the 9th commandment. And you all know the 9th commandment? It's bearing false witness against your brother. There's a term used in Judaism called lashon hara, and that is false speech. And whether it comes out of Charlie's mouth or whether he allows another mouth, he gives a platform to another mouth or two who state lies and disinformation, that he is collaborating with the enemy. He is just as guilty. And God warns us in the book of Obadiah, in the last days, he's going to wipe out the descendants of Edom because they stood by while their brother Jacob, Israel, was held in captivity and they did nothing. Ladies and gentlemen, Charlie can't sit there, neither can Tucker or Candace or Megan, and say, oh, free speech. No, you allow them to get away with it, then you're going to be held accountable too. I have been in touch.
So sounds exactly that she's was a person who sent that text message, because she's saying all those things.
Right.
So it would be a big surprise.
It's like word for word, bar for bar. She's just spewing everything out. But like I said, the FBI is they're not gonna go near her at all. The whole thing is corrupt. Everything is corrupt, ladies and gentlemen. These people pretend to care about us. They pretend that they're, they're out looking for bullshit. If they are, guess what? After we just saw Charlie Kirk get murdered live in front of billions, they should start investigating her because she sent a text message threatening him. But they won't do that.
To me, if it came out that she was not the person threatening Charlie Kirk, that's just one example of the text that he was getting. People terrorizing him and threatening him. Why? Because they got money. We're the donors. You're supposed to do what we say, buddy. And I hope she's driving a Tesla, because she's only occasionally looking at the road. God's not doing the steering for her either way.
No, he's not.
So here is Phantom Pain says, does anybody still think this isn't a mafia-style cult? I think it is. The Zionist TPUSA, I think it's a mafia-style cult.
Oh, yeah.
TPUSA mega donor Lori Cardoza Moore threatens Charlie Kirk like she owns him. Ask yourself, what kind of American donor feels entitled to punish an American for criticizing a foreign state? That power comes from lineage. Ergun, Likud, Mathilda Krim, Angleton CIA channel, today's pressure networks. I mapped the entire architecture here with every receipt. This is a steep fight, yes, but if we stand together and refuse to bow, their entire system collapses under the weight of the truth. We'll be right back with more of this story after a brief message from our sponsor. Hey, have you heard of being micro-tired? It's the Parker. He's going to let you know who is Lori Cardoza.
Oh, great.
She was raised Catholic, but later switched to evangelicalism in a Sephardic Jewish descent. Since 2011, Moore has served as special envoy to the United Nations for Human Rights and Anti-Semitism, representing the World Council of Independent Christian Churches and 44 million Christians. In 2015, she led the push for Tennessee to become the first state to pass the anti-BDS law. That's the law that says you should boycott, divest, and sanction Israel products. So she was trying to make that illegal, that you American citizens would not be allowed to boycott Israel products. 38 states now have some version of this anti-constitutional law, which prohibits Americans from boycotting Israel. In 2016, along with her husband Stan Moore, who grew up in the Air Force and originally applied to work at NASA, made the documentary Boycott This, starring Dennis Prager and Alan Dershowitz, in order to debunk lies about Israel. Ironically, her Taking Back America's Children initiative targets indoctrination in schools while seeking to insert Holocaust propaganda into your child's textbooks and scrubbing out Israel's atrocities towards Palestinians. On September 21st, 2025, just 11 days after Charlie was assassinated, the Jerusalem Post named her the #2 Christian Zionist in America.
Ooh.
In November of 2025, she resigned from the Heritage Foundation's Anti-Semitism Task Force over its refusal to cancel Tucker Carlson. Moore has vocally criticized conservative commentators Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, for their, quote, Jew hatred, unquote, calling their ideas heresy and demonic. Currently, Moore hosts a television program focused on Israel on NRB TV, an evangelical Christian cable channel founded by members of the National Religious Broadcasters. Their recent national convention was hosted by 2 Ashkenazi Jews. And let's remember what Charlie Kirk was saying about Israel right before he was killed.
Lightly, okay? I gotta be careful the way I say this. They're gonna try to ethnically cleanse Gaza. Yep. I mean, I don't use that term lightly, okay?
Before Charlie Kirk was killed, he said Charlie Kirk fears that Israel will kill him if he continues ahead, providing space for Israel critics.
Charlie kind of starting to question the amount of influence that Israel has in U.S., not only domestic politics, but foreign politics as well.
I just don't think we should go to war with Iran. Is a nuclear weapon to Iran a threat to America? Probably. Could be. It's a threat.
I got a good video for y'all after this. When it comes to the whole nuclear situation, this is going to be it's very juicy. You want to stick around for that.
To Israel, but is it a threat to America? I mean, India has nuclear weapons. Pakistan has nuclear weapons.
Right.
But he's one of the only people to go to the Oval Office and say, sir, I totally understand, but a war with Iran could really hurt our country. He took massive abuse from his own donors. And they expressed it to him in a very intense way. I know because he showed me.
He's talking about October 7th possibly being an inside job.
I still have the same gut instinct that I did initially. I find this very hard to believe. I've been to that Gaza border.
He starts to question whether Jeffrey Epstein was an Israeli Mossad agent.
Epstein, with his little friend Ghislaine and Ghislaine's father, Robert Maxwell, who is obviously a spy of the Israeli intelligence agencies, the evidence that shows that Epstein was a creation of either Mossad, Israeli intelligence.
And it all blew out into the open at TPUSA's July Youth Summit out in Tallahassee.
Yeah, Tucker gave the speech.
Right.
Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of intel services. It's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government. Now, no one's allowed to say that foreign government is Israel because we have been somehow cowed.
But it wasn't just Tucker. Megyn Kelly had started questioning Israel and
Mossad, given his connection to Ghislaine Maxwell.
Comic Dave Smith, who, like myself, is a Jewish anti-Zionist.
But there's no reason why we even have to be enemies with Iran. This is Israel's problem. We don't need to be involved in this. Sorry, we got our own issues here.
The crowd was cheering in this cathartic way. Then Tucker comes out, says, you should have your citizenship yanked if you fight for a foreign army.
How can somebody pledge allegiance to 2 countries at the same time?
Obviously, that's absurd. And I know you're speaking about Israel. I think anybody, by the way, who serves in a foreign military should lose his citizenship immediately. There are a lot of Americans who've served in the IDF. They should lose their citizenship.
After that, he started getting publicly attacked. Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin, the two biggest Zionist enforcers in the media. Laura Loomer, we all know who she is. She publicly attacked Charlie Kirk and said he basically had to step down.
Honestly, the way you are treating me is so repulsive. I have text messages, Megan, calling me an anti-Semite. There's another article out in the Times of Israel today. I could read it on air. I was just reading before I got on. Charlie, what are you doing? Like, why are you... What am I doing? I'm sorry. Like, let's just take a step back here. Like, I'm an American citizen.
So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the point of that whole entire montage is to show you that imagine criticizing a foreign country and then, you know, the amount of pressure you get. Imagine criticizing, I don't know, Russia or China or India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Yemen, Syria, Libya, Argentina, the Congo, all these places besides Israel. Imagine heck, even America, ladies and gentlemen, even America. Imagine criticizing all of them. You will not get any heat. You won't get any backlash. The media will in fact boost you because you're making this other country look bad. But then you start criticizing a foreign nation like Israel, and then the next thing you know, you end up dead. And yet we're trying to say that this is one of our greatest allies in the Middle East. I'm sorry. Then they took part in the assassination of JFK. Then they took part in the trying to sink the USSR Liberty. They try to do all of these things. Well, not try, it is. Well, they tried sinking the ship, but it didn't sink. It ended up killing a lot of, U.S. soldiers. But greatest ally in the Middle East, they stole nuclear secrets from us. They have their own secret nuclear going on over there. We'll talk about that right after this. These people are a parasite, number one. Number two, they're not the greatest ally that America has because they've been usurping the wealth of Americans so that way they can do genocide in the Middle East. So that way they can destabilize all their neighbors. I mean, seriously, how are people still how in the world are people still supporting these guys? It doesn't make any sense to me, right? Especially the ones that are doing it for free. What? I mean, if you're gonna support genocide, at least get paid to do so. And yet you're sitting there like a moron supporting an agenda that you're not benefiting from. Crazy to me, man.
So that's the kind of stuff Charlie Kirk was going through. And why does it take Candace Owens to tell us about it? Because the people who are currently at TPUSA, from Erica Kirk to Andrew Colbert to Tyler, to all those people, to the amazing Mikey McCoy, are all in on the take. They want the donor money. They want your money. They want the money. They're doing lots of shady shell company type deals that's been exposed by Wolves of Finance. Moving money around, millions and millions of dollars. Now they live in these huge houses. Where are they getting the money from? Sending millions of dollars to a UPS mailbox in a strip mall that's posing as a company? So that's what's going on. Why are they not saying anything? Why does Candace Owens have to tell us everything? Because they don't want you looking into who actually killed Charlie Kirk, because it's going to come back to probably Israel, and they're a Zionist organization, and all their donors come from Zionists.
Every time there's a major event that happens in America and they do not want to do a lot of investigation, just understand that our greatest ally is one way or another attached to it. Prime example, 7-Eleven. Did you know they did more investigation about January 6th than they did about 9/11? I mean, seriously, let that sink in. Yeah, when a bunch of Americans went ahead and stormed the White House, there was more investigation, more FBI investigation done for that simple event than they did for 7/11 or 9/11. I don't even know why I'm still saying 7/11. I've already said 9/11, but you get the idea. But no, the building collapsed on its own weight. Bullshit. The guy that owned the building, I forgot his name. If it comes to my mind, I'll say it. He took out insurance. It was such massive insurance. If I'm not wrong, it took about 6 to 7 different insurance companies to come together to agree and sign paper. That's how massive of an insurance it was. And on top of that, he never usually takes the day off. But the one day this guy says, you know what, my teeth hurt. I'm not going to work today. That's the day when the buildings. So not only did he put terrorist insurance on the building, and if I'm not wrong, it was like a few weeks later, then the building collapsed. Not only that, the day that he chose not to go to work after going to work for decades, the day he chose not to go to work, the building just ended up going down. Now you tell me if that's luck or if that is what you call a goddamn terrorist attack by our greatest ally.
Christian Zionists, Jewish Zionists, they're a Zionist. That's what this is about. And it looks like that's why they had Charlie killed. Because he was leading the next generation of Republican conservatives away from Israel.
Oof. They don't want that.
And that's why we have to get all this information from Candace. They wouldn't say a day. They would let this kid, Tyler Robinson, get framed for this thing. There's no way he got shot with a 30-06 rifle, and there's no way that kid pulled it off. There's no way that he took a 80-year-old rifle, put it together, somehow snuck it into the... He snuck it, somehow got access to the roof. Nobody's watching the roofs. Nobody watching the roof. The cops not watching the roof. The security team's not watching the roof. You know who was watching the roof? People in the audience, in the crowd. They saw him. Isn't that interesting? After Trump's assassination attempt, they wouldn't have someone watching the roofs. They didn't. On purpose. So, and that's why they don't want to find out who, that's why the people, Erica Kirk and the people at TPUSA don't want to find out who really killed Charlie. And that's why they want to discredit Candace Owens as fast as they can.
And also heard that they made over $270 million after the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So in conclusion, Charlie Kirk is far more beneficial dead than alive. Yeah, they played this guy like a fiddle. They played Charlie Kirk his entire life, man. I feel bad for the guy now. I was never a big fan of Charlie Kirk, don't get me wrong. But after you start putting all the dots together, when you listen to the way Candace Owens talks about him and how he was pretty much controlled his whole life, everything starts to make sense. It's like, holy crap. This dude was, he was under their thumb from the moment he was, I wouldn't say he was born, but more like from the moment they found out that he was smart, he was under their thumb. They were controlling everything that he does, what school he goes to, what does, what event he attends, all the donors, everything was under control and everything was under microscope. And the moment he decided to take one step away from Israel, the dude comes out, he's 6 feet under.
Because they don't want it to upset their money train. They want your money. That's what this is about. They're up to $200 million since Charlie was assassinated. They've raised $200 million since Charlie was assassinated. And that's what they don't want to upset. They don't want anybody looking into how they've been moving that money around, how there's been really suspicious money transfers and transactions and payouts. So totally suspicious, totally shady looking. They don't want anybody looking into that. They don't want anybody stopping their gravy train of Zionist donors. They don't want anybody stopping any of this. They want your money. They want the Zionist money. They want everything to keep going. And now they feel like they're all celebrities. You don't think Erica Kirk is in a psychopathic, sicko way enjoying her fame right now? Of course she is. What a psychopath she is. And the rest of them are all just lying, covering up to keep their money train going. They know who killed Charlie. They don't want anybody to find out because they know it'll wreck and end their organization because nobody will. That must be the end of it. Okay, there you go. And if you like to hear my jokes about this, come see me February 20th in Lansing, Michigan.
So yeah, ladies and gentlemen. Anyways, that's enough of that. Let's move on to the next topic because, I spent a lot of time with that one. Our next topic is a very, very juicy one. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm kind of excited to talk about this situation right here because there was a little bit of a earthquake that was happening in the vicinity of the state of Israel. And anybody who knows about geography and anybody who knows about the history of the state of Israel, there's not a lot of earthquake that happens in that little area. And by that area, I mean their nuclear site area. Dimona, there it is. So if you have been looking into how nuclear testing happens and stuff like that, yeah, when there's a nuclear testing happen, there just happen to be a little bit of a jitter that's going on the earth. And surprise, surprise, Trump rebuilds a nuclear bunker just as Israel reportedly tests nuke at Dimona. Ooh. 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 Now, ladies and gentlemen, this right here should, this should get you scared straight. Because if you know the policies of the state of Israel, you will understand that one of the policies that they have is the Samson option. What the Samson option is that if our popularity collapsed to the point of no return, well, it is collapsing now to the point of no return, but it hasn't reached a critical state yet. They're still lingering onto that little tiny hope that's still flying in the air, okay? But once that little tiny hope vanishes and it goes away, and now they know for a fact that they are, once they know that, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? They're going to resort to the Samson option. This is why they're not telling anybody about their nuclear site. This is why the world doesn't know how much bomb they got. And the reason that is, number two, is because the people who are doing the investigation, the people who are supposed to be pressing Israel about how they should tell the world about the nuclear, I can guarantee you right now, their bombs are pointing at them and say, hey, if you pressure us about this, you know what happened to JFK when he tried? Yeah, he died. This time it won't be one person. Rather, we will drop it in a popular area. These people are psychotic, ladies and gentlemen. Trust me, they have the gut to do it. They have been assassinating people day and night. They have been ethnically cleansing the Palestinian for over 75 plus years. It's not that hard to drop a nuclear bomb in the middle of downtown square in New York. It's not that hard for them. These people are heartless, is what I'm trying to say. They have no morals. They are literal devils walking in human flesh. So them having nuclear bomb and getting ready to drop it on innocent people, that's like it's like a fly sits on your shoulder or a mosquito and then you just like smack it and it's die. You don't feel anything when you do that. That's how these people feel when they kill innocent people. And once you are void of all that emotion, it's not hard to drop a nuclear bomb on innocent people, because to them, you're nothing more than just an animal. To them, you're just a bunch of cattle that's running around that needs to get rid of. That's it. Anyways, that's enough monologue. Let's go ahead and get to the reason as to why they're testing the nuclear bomb.
As a guy on the internet, I couldn't help but notice this really weird article. I just could not help but notice this weird article in the Jerusalem Post that starts with this title: Israel, Iran reassured each other on strikes via Russia before protests broke out. According to the officials quoted by the Washington Post, while Iranian officials responded positively to the Israeli outreach, they were wary of Israel's intentions. Now, this is being reported through the Washington Post by anonymous leaks. So basically treat it like doo-doo and flush it down the toilet. But do think about why they're leaking and reporting this. Before the recent series of protests in Iran began, Israel and Iran assured each other through Russia, as a go-between, that they would not preemptively attack the other. The Washington Post reported on Wednesday, citing unnamed diplomats and regional officials with knowledge of the exchange. The report comes as Iranians have taken to the streets en masse. Iranians took to the streets en masse to protest their government. Not armed by Mossad at all. And then there is...
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. In case you don't know why he's putting a lot of emphasis on it. Yeah, there are Mossad and CIA among the Iranian who are literally burning down mosques, burning down cars, killing innocent police officers in Iran, trying to wild up the people as much as possible. The reason it stopped is because guess what? Yeah, they cut off the internet. So they couldn't get information anymore as to what to do. And once that happened, the protests dramatically dropped, which is 100% a proof that they were being influenced by outsiders. But no, the Iranians don't like their government. That's why they're burning everything down. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get for real.
Horrible Iranian authorities' responses, crackdown, deadly crackdowns, some protester death tolls estimates reaching over 12,000. Yeah, sorry, you can miss me with the Maidan Revolution 2.0. Thank you very much.
And another thing that I want to say, the people who supported the state of Israel when the genocide was going on, they're the one that was saying that 12,000 is now a genocide. That's what they're saying. If you look up the amount of people that have died 2 years now in Palestine, they don't call that a genocide, ladies and gentlemen. They call that, oh, casualties of war. Over 600 and 500,000 people have died, and they still haven't called it a genocide. Meanwhile, they fabricated 12,000 people that happened in Iran, which is what, 2 days? 12,000 people dying in 2 days. You're talking about massive, you're talking about weapons being, bombs being dropped in order for 12,000 people to die in the span of 2 days. You're talking about bombs. To my knowledge, there was no bomb dropped. It was just a bunch of hooligans going around shooting people. A bunch of Mossad agents doing that. But my whole point is that they call this a genocide, ladies and gentlemen. They said 12,000 is genocide. And I said, oh, okay, cool. Let's say we give it to you. 12,000 is a genocide. Cool. I mean, let's be honest. If that literally happened, I will stand by and say, yeah, this is literally a genocide because this is what's going on. They've killed 12,000 in 2 days. They're going to keep doing it. Okay? Let's say that's what the number is. Let's say, cool, 12,000 is how much people. Okay, cool. What about the Palestinian? What do you call that? What do you call that? Look at the before and the after of what happened in Gaza. As this video is playing, I'm gonna go ahead and show it to you guys because I don't want to keep talking because let's just go.
I'm really bummed out by some reporters' coverage of this. Like, for example, like Asmongold is not a reporter, but Asmon is, a very popular streamer. And Asmon just doesn't have the base of knowledge of history about intelligence agency operations. And
sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I found it. Here we go. So, yeah. So the same people, just keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, the same people who are saying that there's a genocide that's going on in Iran, they're the people who supported this. I'm gonna cut the music off. They're the people who supports this. This is not a genocide, ladies. This right here, this is what you call casualties of war. All these buildings that are standing, Hamas was in each and every single one of these buildings right here. All the trees, they were hiding in the trees, and they were hiding in all these places, including all of them. Hamas, all of it was Hamas. All of it. You get the idea now. These people are, I don't know how, this is why I speak out about this. And so, yes, you may call me a grifter. You may say, oh, you're clinging on to a trending topic that has been happening for. You can go ahead and say that. It doesn't change the fact that innocent people have died because we as the Americans are sending them bombs and money. It doesn't change that fact. Call me all the names you want. Call me all the races. I don't care. It's not going to change the fact that there's I know the fear that these people feel.
About Israel and Mossad and the CIA to understand that you cannot take protests like this at face value. That's not how the world works. When you see the American empire jockeying to overthrow a nation, and then suddenly protests break out, and then you see fringe reporting coming out from independent sources saying, Israel's handing out guns to those protesters. Mossad's in the streets. I mean, not even fringe reporting. When you see Mossad themselves saying, we're in the streets with you, we've got your back. When you hear Pompeo, the ex-CIA director, saying Mossad is in the streets, that means you need to rethink your understanding of the protests. Because not everything is as it seems. But I think I might know, I just might have a suspicion as to why exactly Israel might not want to strike Iran. They might prefer to get America to do their dirty work for them. I have a sneaking suspicion that I know why. And I think it's probably this. You remember this?
Mm-hmm. All too well.
You remember all of this?
Fun fact, all those bombs that was being dropped were literal, bombs that Iran wanted to get rid of. So now imagine the ones that they do not want to get rid of. So, yeah, keep that in mind. This is why they want America to step in, because Israel can literally get flattened by Iran in less than a week. it's no challenge for them. They know that. And with the whole nuclear test going on, I feel like they're getting ready. Just in case if America decides to say, Israel, fuck you. Have fun.
You remember the last time they fucked around?
Yeah.
And then the whole world made hype tracks out of it that are actually now copywritten songs that I can't play on stream.
Yeah. It was a time.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I remember this. Back when we all learned that maybe the Iron Dome is not so iron and domey as we were told. Maybe Israel's not actually invincible. Maybe they're a tiny little bully surrounded by some pretty mean neighbors. And they've been poking the bear for fucking forever. And maybe they should shut the fuck up and stop being assholes and stop colonizing and subverting.
Right.
And blackmailing.
Right.
And overthrowing.
They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that.
Because it turns out that if Israel were to do the dirty work for themselves, it wouldn't go so well, actually. Because that was just Iran, all on their own. That wasn't even all the rest of their neighbors. I just can't help but suspect that maybe that has a little bit to do with the way they're doing it this time. But if you live in Florida, don't fucking talk about it. You dirty anti-Semite. Definitely don't post about it. Don't post online about it. Don't social media about it. Because pretty soon, if you keep doing that, we might have to like make a camp and put you in it. Just stop. Because this is Florida. And Florida was promised to these folks thousands of years ago. And I know you've got this freedom of speech thing, but if you utilize that, we're going to have to send police officers to your house to whine about your social media posts.
Picture to make sure it's you. We're not sure.
Okay.
Is that your account?
I refuse to answer questions without my lawyer present, so I really
smart.
Don't
Good
know
girl.
how to answer that question either
Well,
way.
you're, like I
Good
said,
move.
you're not
This
going
is
to jail.
freedom of speech. This is America, right?
And
We're
I,
veteran.
and I agree with you 100%.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm
right.
just trying to see if it's you.
How you agree with her 100%, but yet you are at her door asking her about a specific post that I reacted to this video. Guess what? There was nowhere where she's calling for violence, by the way. She wasn't calling for violence. She was just pointing out some obvious thing that's going on. And because of that, they went out her door and say, yeah, is this you?
If we're not talking to the right person, we want to go see who the right person
Okay,
is.
how can I help you?
So pretty much it's just a statement that was made as far as,
verbatim, it says the guy who consistently calls for the death of all Palestinians tried to shut down a theater for showing a movie that hurt his feelings and refuses to stand up for the LGBTQ community in any way. Even leaves the room when they vote and on related matters. Wants you to know that you're all welcome. Clown face, clown face, clown face.
You're a fucking clown, Mr. Cop. And you should be ashamed of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What ethnicity are you? Are you Jewish? Mr. Cop? What about this other fatter one? What about this one? What do you think?
Are they inside her house?
Because if you are, you should be ashamed of yourself. And if you're not, you should be double ashamed of yourself. And you should probably resign and get the fuck out of there. Because now we're sending cops to people's houses in Florida over social media posts.
Yep.
But now here's another side of the story. This James Fishback guy, he's really easy to jump on the bandwagon with right now. And for like 10 seconds, I was tempted to do that too. And maybe he'll be cool. I don't know. But just remember that you've been hurt before. Remember that motherfuckers on the internet have lied to you before. So, in playing this clip, let's just remind ourselves that, at least I'll remind myself, the way I see it is I will applaud words that I like. I'll applaud speech patterns and, ideas that are good. That is not the same as saying that this politician is going to help you. And it's not the same as saying, I endorse this motherfucker, because I don't trust him. If he wants trust, he can damn well prove it.
Right.
That being said, I ain't sad about having more younger politicians coming up and getting popularity by saying these right things.
Right.
Hopefully, some of them actually follow through on it someday.
I spoke with that woman earlier today. It is disgusting that in a so-called free state like Florida, the police would bang on her door and confront her over an alleged anti-Semitic remark. It was not anti-Semitic. She was merely criticizing the Miami Beach mayor for his support for the Israeli government. Our founding fathers, Matt, you know this, your viewers know this. They fought and died for our right to criticize this government that of course extends to Israel, Russia, Ukraine, or any other foreign government. This attack on free speech has to end. In this particular case, what I would do as governor is I would use my powers vested under Article 4, Section 7A of the Florida Constitution and immediately remove the mayor of Miami Beach for dereliction of duty, for essentially using his office to politically pursue someone who merely disagreed with him on the internet.
Let's see it happen. Let's see it happen.
So in case, I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys a little bit of a fun fact here. There's a guy named by the name of Jonathan Greenblatt. He is the head of the ADL, the American Defense League. Or American ADL. Yeah, the American Defense League. And so this guy, his job is to pretty much monitor the level of anti-Semitism that is going on in America plus all over the world, because he said it that all over the world anti-Semitism has increased. So I'm gonna go ahead and include all over the world in there. This guy said that every single year they train about 20,000 troops. 20,000. So what that means is that you have police officers or ICE agents that are literally being trained by people who are Israel first. So what that means, ladies and gentlemen, is they don't give a fuck about the Constitution. They don't care about the Constitution, because if they did, they wouldn't come at your door. The people who are the ICE agent plus the police officer who are going to people's door and arresting and unaliving American people right in front of us, these people have been trained by the IDF. You guys do realize they've been trained by the IDF, right? They're trying to pretty much suppress the criticism about Israel. That's their motive. That's what they want. So keep in mind, this is only a beginning. This is going to keep increasing. And it's going to be so overwhelmed that, well, it's just going to be blatant. You know what I mean? It's going to be blatant. It's going to be anybody who criticizes the state of Israel, jail you go.
Let's see some action on that. I don't live in Florida. I ain't going to vote for the guy. Even if I did, I still wouldn't vote for the guy. But if Florida does elect him and he does do that shit, I'll be stoked.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be stoked as hell.
He's not going to do
because
anything.
if you ain't been to Florida, let's just say that Florida is like little Israel. Beautiful state, wonderful people, little Israel. Now, speaking of Israel, you remember that ballroom? Remember that ballroom that Trump was rebuilding?
Mm-hmm.
That everyone was losing their minds about.
Right.
The Democrats were freaking out about. Everyone was freaking out about it. And it was kind of a weird story. It was like, okay, Democrats, just calm down. Just calm the fuck down. We want the Epstein files. And like, okay, freak out about the ballroom. But the story was weird. And it was weird because it was only half the story, apparently. Apparently, underneath the East Wing of the White House is the old nuclear bunker.
Oh, that makes sense.
For the president, and his buddies.
Okay.
And apparently, the renovations of the White House were to rebuild, among other purposes, to rebuild the White House doomsday bunker. It was demolished as part of the renovation work ordered by President Trump, CNN reported Monday, citing sources familiar with the project. So we'll see how this develops. According to the report, the underground facility was taken apart during demolition work carried out to make way for a massive new ballroom planned for the White House. A source with knowledge of the matter said that the intention is to rebuild the bunker using advanced modern technologies. The White House declined to comment on the report. And to be fair play. I'm all good.
So let me see. I'm starting to connect some dots here, but I'm not going to go over all the dots. But here's two of them. Recently, Israel was testing a nuclear bomb because there was a little bit of an earthquake earthquake in Dimona, which is their nuclear site in Israel, even though they don't have it in the IAEA, that they do have nuclear bomb, but they do have it. And now you have the president of the United States rebuilding the nuclear bunker. Ooh. In case you guys don't know, these people are trying to lower the population of mankind so that way it's easier to control people. Back then, it was easy to control people because the flow of information was easy to manipulate. Today, it's harder to control people, not only because of the population of people, but now it's harder to control information. They know that. Israel is in a sinking ship, and so they're trying to control how fast they sink. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, guess what? The only people who are stopping this whole entire situation is pretty much the people in Gaza and also Iran. And now they're putting that into fruition right now. Now they're going along with the plan of completely wiping out the Gazans and then trying to do a regime change in Iran. And we understand that Iran is not going to fall down just that easy. It's not. And then Israel is testing on new. They know something major is coming. People have been posting on the internet about the flight in Europe, in Israel and in the region of Europe. They've shut down the airports. Now, it might be something that has nothing to do with the war that's about to start in Iran. It might have something else, it might be because of some other reason, but just keep that in the back of your mind. If something breaks out tomorrow, there you go.
With our commander-in-chief, having a safe place during a nuclear war. It'd be great if he would release the Epstein files. But it's just funny timing. It's just kind of funny timing with the state of the world right now. Especially when you remember a couple days ago that there was a 4.2 magnitude earthquake. There's actually 2 different quakes right beside Israel's non-existent nuclear facility in Dimona. And the whole world noticed these weird fucking earthquakes right by the nuclear facility that doesn't exist.
Ooh.
And everyone started wondering, is Israel testing nukes? And it was reported all over the place. This is India Today. This is an Israeli publication. This is another Israeli publication. So on Thursday morning last week at precisely 9 a.m., as communities scattered across southern Israel's Negev desert were busy with their daily routines, the ground suddenly began to shake. Although the Dead Sea region is part of the Syrian-African Rift and has a history of mild to moderate seismic activity, the tremors amid the crisis in the Middle East were enough to send people into a frenzy. Rumors are swirling about a M3.9 quake near Dimona claims that Israel has just conducted a nuclear test. Is it true? To be clear, to be fair, based upon my limited research on it, I don't think it's confirmed that it's nuclear testing.
Right.
I've seen some posts claim that it was at a depth where it's too deep to be nuclear testing. As if we've never heard of underground nuclear tests.
Right.
As if we've never fucking read a book. Right. 2 pinpointy little earthquakes right by Israel's nuclear facility just last week.
Yeah.
Almost like...
I mean, let's be honest. They're testing nuclear bombs. They are. They are. These people are, they are.
A signal. Almost like they were sending a message. Now, isn't that interesting?
And that's not the first time they've done it.
Ain't that weird? I mean, after all, the last time that they tried to fight didn't go so well. It did not go so well. And now they're trying to get Trump to do the dirty work for them. We got a bunch of reporting coming out of the White House that Trump is scared of Israel for reasons. We got a bunch of, shall we say, suspicion that Israel may have had something to do with the death of Charlie Kirk. And we've got this whole situation in Iran blown up, so to speak. So call me crazy, but I'm just going to operate under the assumption that it was probably a nuclear test until I see evidence otherwise. And that's pretty fucked up. It's pretty on brand, but it's pretty fucked up. The one of the most viral and accurate sentiments that's been going around the internet for the last week or so is that the last year has just been a giant proof that North Korea has the best international policy there is. North Korea nailed it. Sorry, hate to say it. But if you just made nukes, you would have been fine.
There you go.
If you'd just been a crazy dictator that got nukes as fast as humanly possible, no one would fuck with you. But sorry, Iran, you're a little late to the party.
I wouldn't say that. Why? Because, well, I heard rumors. I'm not saying it's true. I heard rumors that Iran probably might buy nuclear bomb from Russia. Just rumors. All right, or maybe Russia may donate it, or China may donate it, because these people, they're also superpowers in the Middle East, you know, well, in the Far East, I would say. But yeah, so.
And Israel wants to be the only secret nuclear power that's unregulated, that does whatever it wants. So get fucked. Hey, I don't write the rules. I'm just reading. Thank you for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for liking and sharing and subscribing. And
so yeah, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, something major is coming. Be very, very wary. With that being said, let's move on to our next topic. TikTok new Israeli first CEO following ownership change. So I don't post on TikTok. I don't do that anymore. Ever since TikTok was turned over, I don't. Why? Because I don't want to waste my time posting on an app that's most likely going to end up taking my channel down later down the line. Let's be honest. They're just going to end up taking it down. I say too much. I talk too much shit about Israel is all I'm trying to say. I do. But let's go ahead and see what happened.
Hey everybody, hope you guys are doing well. So truly, it only took one day, less than 24 hours, for the new ownership of TikTok to install a staunch pro-Israel Jewish Zionist as the new American CEO of the U.S. Chapter of the U.S. arm of TikTok. This is Larry Ellison. He's now one of the largest shareholders of TikTok in the United States. He's the founder of Oracle. And
I ain't gonna lie, this is one ugly ass dude right here, bro. You mean, man, he is just, whew. All he's got is money. That's it. All he's got is money.
And immediately after the ownership shift of TikTok, they put Adam Presser as the new CEO of the American arm of TikTok. For those who don't know, Adam Presser, this guy, he was previously working in TikTok. Staunchly pro-Israel. After October 7th, Adam Presser immediately hosted a meeting, an e-meeting, so a virtual meeting of Jewish American pro-Israel influencers on social media, about 25 of them, immediately after October 7th, to talk about the rise and the concerns they have. Not once, no such similar meeting for Palestinians or anybody that's affiliated with what's happening in Palestine. No such meeting. That was the first thing. TikTok, routinely, video after video after video, deleting anything that criticizes Israel. It's like one after another. There's no free speech on the platform anymore. So let me go ahead and share my screen here so you guys can see this. TikTok forms U.S. joint venture, names Adam Presser as the CEO. TikTok said it officially formed a joint venture that will keep the video sharing app. Adam Presser, previously TikTok's head of operations, will be the CEO of the new joint venture. All right, so let me see. Did I have a photo of Adam Presser? You guys saw it on the thumbnail already. So the company said Adam Presser, who has been serving as TikTok's head of operations and trust and safety, will be the CEO of TikTok's USDS joint venture. Presser has worked at TikTok for almost 4 years and was previously a senior executive at Warner Bros. TikTok CEO Xiao Chu will be a director of the newly formed venture, which will run as an independent entity. With this, everything, they say algorithm safety, really key word here is content moderation. So everything in this new ownership has to do with what the algorithm is going to show you. They just want to make sure Americans are propagandized to love Israel and hate Arabs. That's basically going to be the entire new algorithm. So you're going to see a ton of everything related to just love of Israel, and actually not just love of Israel, but really more so, you're going to see an uptick in seeing content that really just focuses on hating Arabs. And the reason,
yeah, that's exactly what I was just about to say. So to all the Muslim imams out there, people who have voice, I mean, this is far more important time now to talk about the safety of Muslims than ever, because these people are ramping up something. They're about to start. They know that they're about to lose the population. They know that they have to spark the hatred of Muslims back into the heart of the American people, like they did back in September of 2001. They know that. You can't put Israel in a bright light anymore. After what we've seen in Gaza, you just can't. They know that's impossible. They're like, look, we can't get these people to like Israel, but what we can do is make them hate Arabs. So that way, as we continue to kill Arabs, they can keep supporting us. Why Israel is so good has been a search that has now gone boosted on TikTok. They're boosting it now. So it's only a matter of time before it comes to why Arabs are so bad that now gets boosted on TikTok. This is why I don't post on TikTok anymore. Because it is now owned by people who have a specific agenda that does not align with the American people, and it does not align with my belief.
The reason I say that is because Israelis have done studies repeatedly. I mean, they're paying firms hundreds of thousands of dollars to conduct studies and surveys for them to figure out how to do their PR. And they've worked with firms, and what these firms discovered, these polling firms that are doing surveys on the ground, and what they've discovered, and they've done this across dozens of European countries, is that it's easier to get Europeans and Americans to hate Arabs than it is to necessarily get them to like Israel. And that was really important knowledge for Israel. It was really, really important because what it made Israel realize is, wait, we don't necessarily have to make them like us. We just need to make sure they always hate Arabs more. So that way it naturally ends up leading to pro-Israel policy. So with that in mind, Israelis, knowing the fact that the younger generation is aware of when they see propaganda, it's pretty easy to see an ad or see some sort of content that's aggressively pro-Israel. It's really gross. You don't want to see it. The younger generation doesn't have time to put up with it, so they immediately scroll. They don't want to see that. It's a lot harder, though, when you just see funny content hating on a group of people. You don't really recognize that as much as, oh, is somebody trying to shove that content there? And it's one after another after another. You're more likely to watch that than a sort of ad or a sort of video that's just pushing pro-Israel talking points. And that's enough for Israel. That's all they want. They just want to make sure you hate the other side more. That's what I think we're going to start to notice a lot more of. And then also, anything that just truly says the truth about what Israel is up to, assume that stuff is going to be taken down. Assume it's going to be taken down right away. So, you know, I have TikTok. That's how I started my platform. I started on TikTok, Instagram, X, and then YouTube just a few months ago. And I used to love TikTok. I used to love it. I hate using it now. True, I just genuinely hate using it now. One, because anytime I have a video that's doing really well, it's about to go viral, immediately it gets stunted. And now I just get violations left and right. You'll see I have my live streams get chopped up. I have an editor and he chops them up for me and we toss them as shorts. Half the time those shorts are removed. So the algorithm just hates me. It's constantly taking things down. When I say there's no free speech, if it pisses them off and they don't like the opinion, they'll take it down. They'll take it down. And I thought Instagram was bad. I have never had content taken down off my Instagram. I'm sure the algorithm messes with it, but with TikTok, it's something completely different. Something completely different. And this happened for one reason and one reason only. It's because they hated the fact that younger generation started to hate Israel. And did you see how quickly the world flipped over on its head? The second that the younger generation started to hate Israel, did you see how quickly the US government assembled together like a mafia and immediately went after TikTok? Bipartisan, quickly, immediately. They immediately suck in that hate speech manager of TikTok who used to work, he was a former IDF officer. She calls herself, the Jerusalem Post put out a headline titled, "She's a loud and proud Zionist." That's the new hate speech manager of TikTok. This would be a great time for me to just, go ahead and show my my disclosure here. This is really not intended to spread hate on any group of people. That's not the point here. I really don't care. The issue is, if they want to focus on stopping hate, why does it have to be somebody with the political ideology of Zionism that's plopped in place? Why does it have to be that person? Why does the new CEO also have to be a staunch pro-Israel Zionist? Why can't it just be anybody else? Why do they have to be a Zionist? It's because they're trying to really just make sure they force the younger generation to love the Israel project, and everybody's really damn sick of it. Everybody's really damn sick of it. So TikTok is gone now. TikTok's been gone. The algorithm's already been screwed. Now it's going to be even worse. CBS News purchase bought out. The only thing that I'm really happy to see is I read an article today that CBS's ratings is just completely flatlining. Tony Dokoupil sucks. Objectively, he just sucks. And people just noticed that from day one. He's been just a failure at his network. Barry Weiss, installed by David Ellison, Larry Ellison's son. She was installed. She's basically a pro-Israel DEI hire. Put her in place. They went ahead and did a DEI hire for Tony Dokoupil. They installed him too, simply because he's pro-Israel. And the same thing now with TikTok. We're seeing that they went ahead and installed Adam Presser because he's pro-Israel. You think they would put anybody else in place if he wasn't pro-Israel? No, of course they wouldn't. So there's a full takeover of the media and social media now. And, I'm just hoping that my YouTube channel doesn't get taken down. It's, it feels...
Me, I don't care if it gets taken down. Because I was just go to Rumble right after that. That's what they want. They want you to be afraid that, oh, I don't want my social media to be taken down, so I'm going to go ahead and censor myself and not say the most outrageous thing. They don't care. They will take it down anyway. And me, I would much rather walk around knowing that I did something, I spoke out for those who do not have a voice, than have to walk around with millions of dollars in my pocket and knowing that I protected a group of people who are committing genocide. I'm sorry. My morals just won't let me do that. I can't. When I started this channel, I didn't want to talk about, politics or geopolitics. I didn't want to talk about Israel, none of these stuff. But when I saw the videos coming from Gaza, when I saw innocent people dying, when I saw kids with bullets in their head, limbs cut off, parents literally collecting their kids in plastic bag. I don't want to get too graphic here, but this is literally what I saw on X. These videos were being posted. How can I see that, knowing that I have a voice, and then just remain silent? I just couldn't do it. I'm sorry. You can take down my channel. You can burn this whole channel. I'll just move to X. All right, not X, I'm sorry. I'll just move to Rumble. And if you take that one down, I'll go find an alternative social media. But I'm going to continue to keep talking about it for as long as I possibly can.
It feels like we're living in 1984. The book, it feels like we're just truly at this point, the level of surveillance and censorship. Larry Ellison now is going to have my damn TikTok data. I'd rather give it to the CCP. I would gladly go deliver it to the CCP by hand than have Larry Ellison have my TikTok data. And that's what's happened now. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you found this video interesting, I'd appreciate it if you just click the subscribe button as well and give it a thumbs up. It helps me reach more people like you. Also, guys, I started doing member-only videos. So
there you go. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to move on to the next topic now. But my final thought on that whole situation is that's why I don't really like to upload on TikTok, because it's just going to end up being censored or taken down anyway. It's owned by people who I don't like. It's owned by freaking genocide sympathizers. They don't want the truth to be out there. So why would I put up videos on there when it's just going to be taken down?
Secured a $200 million settlement with Columbia University for violating the civil rights of Jewish students.
Sorry, let me go ahead and give you guys a little bit of a context of what's going on here. So Pam Bondi brags about persecuting Americans for anti-Israeli speech. In conclusion, what that means is her job, you know what? Let's just watch it.
We have secured a $200 million settlement with Columbia University for violating the civil rights of Jewish students and Jewish employees. We've secured a $75 million settlement with Northwestern University for anti-Semitic conduct. We've secured a $60 million settlement with Cornell that includes provisions to halt anti-Semitic conduct.
So while she's going over the list of all the people she has locked up, keep in mind that they haven't locked up anybody who's on the Epstein file, ladies and gentlemen. All the people that she's talking about getting locked up, they hurt a Jewish person's feeling. So because of that, they either got expelled from school or, well, whatever it is that she's yapping about. They did that to because a Jewish person's feelings got hurt. Not because, somebody who is a not sitting president, but somebody who is in Congress is out here diddling kids on the side. Those people don't get locked up. No. Oh, how dare us lock those people up? They're protected under the Constitution. The people who we need to go after are the ones who are hurting the feelings of the Jewish people.
And we've launched a full investigation into University of California's system for systematic anti-Semitism.
Remember when Donald Trump said this about who controls him, and it was the Jewish Zionist donor, Sheldon Adelson?
Just as I promised, I recognized Israel's eternal capital and opened the American embassy in Jerusalem. Jerusalem became the capital. I also recognized Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights. Miriam and Sheldon would come into the White House probably almost more than anybody outside of people that work there.
That's because they're the one that's running shit. So whenever they want to come, they can just come through.
And they were always after, and as soon as I'd give them something, always for Israel. As soon as I'd give them something, they'd want something else. I said, give me a couple of weeks, will you please?
Oh,
but I gave them the Golan Heights, and they never even asked for it. For 72 years.
Okay, so remember, and here he is saying...
Miriam Adelson, do you want to come up here? Come up here, Miriam. Miriam gave my campaign, indirectly and directly, $250 million. She was number one. When somebody can give you $250 million, I think that we should give her the opportunity to say hello. And Miriam, make it quick, because
So there he is, just telling you he's bought by the Adelsons. They gave him $250 million. That's it. And so here's now Pam Bondi being introduced, his attorney general being introduced by his biggest donor. And let's watch, shall we?
And you know what's funny? Miriam Edelson at the World Economic Forum, she was asked about, oh, how do you have such huge influence on the politician? She says, oh, I don't want to talk about that. That's what she said, bro. She was like, oh, I don't want to talk about that. You know, it's a secret. All that tells me everything I need to know. Because if it was only money, oh, I just give them $200 million, and that was enough for this person to say, let's move the embassy here. Let's go ahead and allow them to annex the West Bank. Let's go ahead and allow them to genocide Palestinians. If it was only money, it wouldn't be that hard to say, oh, I give them money. No. But rather, it's something else. There's something else involved that cannot be spoken of. The Epstein file has them. And she doesn't want to tell you what's on that file. She doesn't want to expose that because she knows that the information that are on this file is enough to literally collapse everything. Everything. And I'm going to go as far as saying this. It wasn't just child doing things to kids. It wasn't just that. No, these people are worse than animals, is what I'm trying to say. Animals have a little bit of dignity. Animals have a little bit of sense of awareness. They know what's right and wrong from their point of view, is what I'm trying to say. But these people are worse than animal. Doing SA to children is not enough. These people have done things that we can't even possibly fathom that a human being is capable of doing this. Trust me, it's not just child doing things to kids. It's not.
Anti-Semitism has been allowed to grow unchecked in this country. Too many institutions have abdicated their moral responsibility to speak up. Too many so-called leaders have stayed quiet. Actions have consequences, and inaction has consequences too. We've sued violent protesters under the FACE Act for intimidating Jewish Americans worshiping at synagogues.
So she's using the face. She's admitting, okay, here we are. I'm doing the bidding of my donors, the Zionist donors, and we're suing American citizens at the behest of Zionists.
They felt intimidated at synagogues. Did someone protest the Gaza genocide on a street or something?
So they're protesting. So from what I understand, they were having sales of land in Palestinian.
And she thinks she's on the stage saying this as if like this is like, oh my God, look how great, look how much of a great job I have done for you. Nah, this makes you look pathetic. I'm sorry.
And Palestine, and people were protesting that. And
they felt intimidated.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh,
and so she's going to prosecute them for that.
Their feelings got hurt. That's it. Their feelings got hurt.
Okay, thank God.
This is the first time since its passage, the FACE Act in 1994, that it has been used to protect a house of worship. Working with Secretary Linda McMahon, who has been a champion for you as well, and Harmeet, we have secured a $200 million settlement with Columbia University for violating the civil rights of Jewish students and Jewish employees. We've secured a $75 million settlement with Northwestern University for anti-Semitic conduct. We've secured a $60 million settlement with Cornell that includes provisions to halt anti-Semitic conduct. And we've launched a full investigation into University of California's system for systematic anti-Semitism.
What? Systematic anti-Semitism. How would we possibly have that if AIPAC owns all, like everyone with Massey?
So this was the FACE Act was written in 1994 and signed into law by Bill Clinton, and it was supposed to be protecting people who were trying to go into abortion clinics. Because remember how they had people out and they actually killed a doctor And so that's what that was about. People, or it was to protect people exercising their First Amendment right to religious freedom at a place of worship. It also prohibits intentionally damaging or destroying property of such facilities or places of worship. So the law was created in response to a wave of violence, blockades, bombings, and murders targeting abortion clinics and providers in the early 90s. There was the murder of Dr. David Gunn. It provides both criminal penalties and civil remedies, and it's enforced by the Department of Justice. It protects not just abortion clinics, but also fertility clinics and other reproductive health. So they're using that. So the current controversy, supporters view it as an essential protection against violence. Critics, especially they argue it's been weaponized to prosecute peaceful protesters or sidewalk counselors infringing on First Amendment rights. There have been recent efforts in Congress to repeal it entirely, though it's, as of now, remains in effect. So it stands for Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act. That's what the FACE Act is. The Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act, the main federal law protecting access to reproductive health care facilities from forced, and they're using it to protect Israel and Zionists.
Oh, finally, a good use for it.
She's literally suing American citizens at the behest of Israel and
Wait, but did she leave all that on her desk? Because maybe it won't be happening.
Yeah,
now.
right? Just like the Epstein files.
Her black hole singularity desk.
Max Blumenthal says, scam Bondi demonstrating how the pay-for-play Department of Justice works for Trump's largest donor. Likud warlord Miriam Edelson demands Bondi criminalize protests against Israel's ongoing genocide, and she shamelessly delivers a full frontal assault on the First Amendment. That's what she's doing. But just to let, it's the idea that you can't say the government is occupied by Zionists. So Jews for Peace says, according to the official records from Florida's Department of State Division of Elections, Jay Collins is now the lieutenant governor of Florida. He's announced he's going to run for governor. He's the newly announced candidate for Florida governor. He accepted $100,000 from Children of Israel, LLC, a fraudulent shell company, on October 7, 2025. And you want to hear what he has to say about the First Amendment and free speech and Israel? Watch this.
You don't have the right to harm other people with your words. And you don't have the right to say things that have really negative, really horrible meanings. When you want people to destroy Israel, that matters.
Hey, guess what? I get to say F you. I get to say F Israel. I get to say F Zionism. And I don't care whose feelings it hurts. I hope it hurts your feelings. That's the point of it.
Exactly. Is it as bad as being starved to death? Not really, is it? Hey, is it as bad as having your kids bombed in front of you by or IDF putting on your wife's underwear and starving your kids? Is it that bad?
Let me tell you something. Freedom, the First Amendment, them trying to get rid of it, it's not for the benefit of the American people. Really, it's not. It's not, oh my God, the American people's feelings are getting hurt, and because of that, we need to get rid. No, it's because Israel wants to continue doing what it's doing with immunity. So that way you don't say shit about it. That's all it's about. It's all about Israel. It's really not about the American people. Because I can still criticize the president. And heck, my video may get boosted. Right now, I'm not getting a lot of viewers. If I start criticizing Donald Trump and his policies, my video will probably be like, whoof, all over the place, man. It'll be pumped out. But no, it's not. Why? Because I'm talking about something that is taboo when it comes to social media.
So here's American gubernatorial hopeful Jay Collins, the club bouncer of local politics, with the British-sounding name, bringing his UK-style game to Florida. That's what this really is. As we know, Britain is now both under full Zionist control. And yet somehow Jews don't feel safe there anymore and want asylum here in America. Isn't that weird?
Well, that's because Zionists keep killing them in false flags so that they'll feel that way.
So that's also one listen to this again.
You don't have the right to harm other people with your words.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, I do, you short-balled fuck.
How about that?
Go step on a Lego, you well, I'm going to get you.
Yes.
I don't have a right to go that far.
So, and if you do harm people with your words, you're going to come home and there's going to be ICE agents in your living room wearing your wife's lingerie.
That's how you know they're IDF.
Yeah. This guy,
put on your wife's underwear.
This guy looks like the first face you see when they pull off your interrogation hood.
I can see he's short from because of his head to arm ratio there.
So there he is. So that's what's happening in America. That's the guy. He's the current lieutenant governor of Florida, looking to be Florida, saying you don't have a right to say things that hurt people's feelings, especially Israel's. Especially Israel.
Boy, am I in the woke right? Because I thought I can hurt feelings.
Yeah, that's the whole point, I thought.
I thought wokies are the ones that say that.
That's what I thought. Hey, come see me live on tour February.
But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know why a lot of people, why a lot of Americans don't really speak about this. But yeah, your freedom of speech is under attack. Whether you like it or not, these people have been able to get away with a lot of the stuff that they have done. It's only a matter of time now before, well, our freedom of speech gets taken away. And so I'm trying to use it to the best of my ability. You know what I mean? I gotta use it. I gotta use it. That way, 10 years from now, when people can't even say Israel without being shot in the head, I'm gonna go back and say, I used to talk all the time about the state of Israel, and there was no bullet flying in my head. Now you can't. Because you dumb ass and asses thought it was beneficial to just remain silent. And now you want to speak out? You can't. So better use it while you can. With that being said, let's go on to our next topic, ladies and gents. This is going to be the last and the final one. Sorry to say it. Why it feels like we are royally effed. That's because we are royally effed. And this is by Nadia For Real. Go ahead and leave her a subscribe. She's really good. She's really good. So yeah, we are effed. But she has some very, very important things to say in which I had a lot to say about. I'm going to try to minimize it and just get to the point. So let's listen to what she has to say. Oh.
Lately, Hi guys, so I've noticed a trend lately comparing current events to prophecy. There's been lots of comments claiming that Orwell predicted this and that we're living in end times. And look, I get it. Things are chaotic. And
is she religious? I wonder.
during times like these, it's easy to experience cognitive overload. The world feels loud, unstable, and it's hard to make sense of anything. So we look for quick and easy answers to explain it all.
All that is by design, by the way.
There are no easy answers. And this knee-jerk reaction blinds us to what's actually going on. Worse, it makes us susceptible to manipulation because what's happening isn't prophecy, it's psychology. Think about it. If I can convince you that what I'm doing is fulfilling some type of prophecy, then I can activate your limbic system, the ancient part of your brain that warns you that you're in danger. And if I can do that, then I don't have to worry about you figuring things out. Because when the limbic system is activated, your prefrontal lobes, the part of your brain responsible for logic and problem solving, shuts down.
So what I want to say about that is she is right, simultaneously she's wrong. And the reason I say that is because the people who are behind all these misinformation and the chaos that's going on, these people don't believe in a God. So whatever either Muslims or Christians, whatever, or Jews, whatever belief they have, to them it doesn't matter. But when you step into the realm of a religious aspect and you read the scripture, and the scripture tells you the end time, you will start to see a pattern. These people think that they're not following that pattern. But when in reality, if you know that what God said is true, you will start to see the pattern. That's just how it is. So whether it is psychological or not, truth of the matter is everything these people do is leading to a specific point in time. And according to the Bible, that's with the Antichrist coming. According to the Quran, that's also the Antichrist coming. And according to the Talmud, that's going to be the coming of who? Their Messiah. So whether you have, Peter Thiel or all these people who do not believe in a God or, they don't believe in God, truth of the matter is they are going to do something that's going to contribute to the coming of either the Antichrist or the coming of Jesus.
So I'm going to show you how the psychology behind the narrative works, how your brain reacts to fear, what archetypes and tropes are, and how those tools are used to shape narratives. Then I'll show you how you can protect yourself from it, so you're not living on survival mode, but have the clarity to see through the BS and regain control over your own mind. Let's get into it. Okay, let's start with the foundation. Your brain has two basic operating systems. System one we'll call the thinking brain. This is where logic lives. Reason, questions, analysis, and calm decision-making are all formed here in your frontal lobes. System two is the survival brain, called the limbic system. And its job is simple, to keep you alive. So when it senses danger, real or imagined, it flips a switch. and your body reacts with a rise in stress hormones and increased heart rate. Your breathing gets faster, and your logical thinking gets weaker. This fight or flight mode is an automatic response system that helps us survive a dangerous situation and get us out of a tight spot. But we're not built to live under this type of pressure indefinitely. It's meant to be an emergency response, not a lifestyle. When it goes on for too long, you lose the ability to think clearly. You're constantly stressed and can't make clear decisions. Everything feels like it's out of control and falling apart, so you seek relief, a quick answer. And this makes you open to all sorts of manipulation. This doesn't mean you're weak or stupid. It's just the way our brains are built. Now let's connect the psychology to the narratives. Humans don't just respond to facts. We respond to stories.
Okay.
And the most powerful stories are built on two things: archetypes and tropes. Archetypes are characters, emotional templates that your brain recognizes instantly. Characters like the hero, the villain, the traitor, the evil empire, and of course, the final battle. The thing about archetypes is that you don't have to analyze them. You can feel them. That's why they're used in film, religion, and of course, politics. When the narrative is framed with archetypes, it activates the most primal part of your brain and elicits an emotional response. So you're less likely to question whether any of it is even true. When archetypes are paired with tropes, it's even easier for you to get swept up and believe whatever it is that you're told.
Look, I really appreciate the fact that she's giving information in ways that will protect you from all the misinformation that's out there. But you have to understand that the people who are pumping out these informations, they study us. They study how we behave. They study the way we react to things. We're constantly being monitored, especially via social media. That's the number one way to manipulate an entire society. And so with that information in mind, you have to understand that it's not very easy to, well, protect yourself from all of these things. So that's why you have to be extremely cautious. So yeah, I can really appreciate where she's coming from, but in today's day and age, it's becoming harder and harder, especially with the rise of AI. Nowadays, you can't even tell what's real and fake on AI anymore. So yeah.
Tropes are familiar story patterns like good versus evil, the chosen people, the end of the world, the ultimate enemy, and the last hope for humanity. I mean, we've all heard these. These storylines play on the human race's greatest fear, extinction. They go straight to your nervous system and bypass all logical thinking. Religious stories are packed with these. Light versus darkness, the apocalypse, prophecy, and final judgment. So when modern events are described using the same language, of course it feels biblical. Not because it is, but because it's being framed that way.
Why?
Keep in mind that people in power.
Why is it being framed that way is the question that we need to ask ourselves. Is it because we are unintentionally going toward that direction? Because, see, Jesus said, if you want to know somebody is a prophet, listen to the prophecies that they make. The reason why prophets make prophecies is simply because human beings, whether we like it or not, this is the pattern that we are going to take. The number one reason that I can explain that is what's going on in Palestine right now. When the creation of Zionism was happening, Theodore Herzl didn't have Palestine in mind. He was an atheist. So he had Argentina, South Africa, Australia. He had I think Kenya and all these other places in mind. But ultimately, they ended up doing Palestine, which fulfills a prophecy. Again, Theodore Herzl was not somebody who is a believer. So one thing you need to understand is, again, whether they want to believe in God or not believe in a God, prophets prophesize a certain event that's going to happen. And no matter what these people do, it will always lead us to that direction. Some people actually try to force that prophecy to happen, which is what's going on when the Christians are trying to return the Jews back to Palestine. And the reason they're doing that because they believe that when that happened, then Jesus will return. Jews also believe that when the Jews return, then their Messiah is going to come back. It has a lot to do with theology. Although you may not believe it, still it does.
Power understand the psychology very well. They have the top experts to help them shape the narrative. They have to. Because if you want to shape the opinions of large groups of people, then you have two choices. Option A, explain complicated realities with nuance and patience and hope and pray that people will understand and agree. Or option B, turn reality into a simple emotional story with heroes and villains. Option B always wins because fear spreads faster than logic. And also because a simplified fairy tale hides a multitude of crimes. Few people have the time to research what's true.
True.
A cut and dry narrative gives you a quick fix in the simple answers your brain is hungry for. So you stop asking questions. And that's the point. That's why political media sounds less like information and a lot more like a movie trailer. Lots of talking points and claims, but zero facts to back anything up. They know you're confused, stressed, and anxious, and that it makes you open to whatever narrative they want to spin. Today, we see this in Trump's claims that if we don't take Greenland, Russia and China will. That isn't neutral language. It's archetypical language that activates your limbic system. But notice that Trump doesn't bother to give you any proof that either Russia or China are making moves toward Greenland. That's because there isn't any. And frankly, he knows that most people don't want or need it anyway. Think of 9/11. We were terrified. So no one questioned when the news media said that they had found the passports and the IDs of all of the bombers. How is that even possible in all that rubble? Or think of 2020. We were all so scared about a virus that nobody stopped to question all of those weird videos that people claimed were coming out of China. China, a country that has complete control over its social media and all information that goes in or out of the country. There's no way those videos
We knew
were
the story of the
But
international
again,
rules-based order.
we were scared. Fear
Sorry about that.
is a very powerful drug. When we see things play out in real life that we first heard of in a book or in a movie, it's very easy for our brains to accept it as the truth, the inevitable truth. This is why it's so easy to think that Orwell predicted everything that we're seeing play out today.
And that's why movies nowadays are used to manipulate and literally rewrite. I wouldn't say rewrite history, but rewrite the way human beings process information. A lot of the stuff that's out there, they're just made up.
But Orwell didn't predict the future. He understood patterns. He understood that fear controls behavior, that language shapes perception,
Right.
that power creates enemies, and that emotional people accept simple lies. Those aren't prophecies. They're recurring human habits. And because most Americans are familiar with Orwell's work, the tropes within it can be reverse engineered and used to trigger fear and a feeling of inevitability. Orwell wrote about a future in which everyone is watched and censored by Big Brother. So where do you think the powers that be got that idea from? See, 1984 isn't prophecy.
So what she's referring to is like Palantir. Palantir is like that eye that's like staring at everybody. You know how they made that in Lord of the Ring, a movie. Same thing with Harry Potter. People saying that it was from the idea actually came from Harry Potter, that there was actually something in there. If I'm not wrong, the name goes along the line of Palantir. That was also referencing to something that is like overseeing the students and all these other things.
It's a playbook. I want to share a personal story with you so that you know where I'm coming from. When I was in the military, I went through some really intense training, not just physically, but psychologically. And I learned two important lessons that shaped my worldview. Lesson number 1, awareness alone can't overcome biology. I knew I was being psychologically manipulated. I knew rationally that the yelling, the time pressure, the screaming, the chaos, and the high-risk exercises were all designed to stress me out on purpose. But here's the thing. Knowing it didn't stop any of it from working. There were parts of my brain that were being triggered to react, and they did, no matter how aware I was. Lesson number 2, choosing logic is always an option. And that's what I was really being trained to do. It wasn't impossible to override my limbic system. It just took repetition. By constantly exposing me to chaos, I was being trained to succeed and complete the mission even when I was scared, to stay calm and think clearly, even when my body was reacting. In other words, I learned how to actively choose logic in spite of my brain's need to default to reaction mode. As an analyst, that skill was essential. And it's the same skill I want to help you achieve because we need it now more than ever. So how can you recognize when your limbic system is being attacked? And what can you do about it? The physical signs are easy to identify. Racing heart, tight chest, shallow breathing, dry mouth, a feeling of sudden anger or fear, or feeling overwhelmed. These are limbic system signals, not signs that you're actually in danger.
So you see, one thing that I do want to say is the way the American people have reacted to what's going on in the Middle East, it just tells me that our limbic system has completely been hijacked. Americans, they're not living a very comfortable life, but yet we still somehow squeeze money out to send it across sea, or we give it to the Pentagon to continue new wars. So again, we have our brain power capability has been completely or hijacked, and in order for us to get out of this situation, it's gonna take a lot of work.
Mental signs are a lot harder to identify because a lot of them are ingrained in your neurology and they work on the subconscious level. These include the belief that things are black and white, they're dire, and that you have to pick a side right now. These are emotional reactions pretending to be thoughts, and a sure sign that you're being manipulated. But there are 3 practical steps that you can take to get out of fight or flight mode. Number 1, calm your body. You can't think logically until your nervous system calms down. So take slow, deep breaths, turn off your TV or close the app, stand up, stretch, and drink some water. In other words, interrupt your thought patterns with physical action. This snaps you back to the present moment and tells your brain, I am safe. Number 2, ask grounding questions. Once you're calm, ask yourself, who benefits if I'm scared right now? What am I being pushed to believe? Am I being presented with facts, or is it just rhetoric? Is this information or emotional storytelling? These questions will wake your thinking brain back up. Number 3, separate the facts from the narrative. Every message has 2 elements, the event and the story about the event. Your job is to strip away dramatic adjectives, doom language, and the archetypical framing. This will help you connect the dots and see what's really going on. Let's test it. Version A of a headline reads, 2 countries have a policy disagreement. Okay. While version B states, an evil regime threatens the free world in a final battle for humanity. It's the same event, different framing. But notice which one made your body react.
Right.
Look, here's the bottom line. Scared people don't ask smart questions. Calm people do.
And so this is why I titled my YouTube, my live, that come and learn about the world and the chaos that's going on. Because from the moment we go to public schools, the manipulation has already started. The critical thinking, the capability to critically think about information and process information, to block that has already started. The moment as soon as you go point into public school, that's it, it's done. And so again, that's why I started this channel, so that way I can learn this information and learn about the world and learn about the chaos that's going on around us, who really runs things around here, why do they do what they do. And it's gonna be a lot of work, but never say never, just always start somewhere.
Panicked people beg for authority, but calm people think for themselves.
Right.
And right now, there are many different actors who really need us to stay frightened, divided, and reactive, because emotional people are a lot easier to steer. So the next time something feels biblical, apocalyptic, or prophetic, take a beat, breathe, and remember, feeling something strongly doesn't make it true. It just means that your limbic system is being triggered. Your greatest power in a chaotic world isn't panic. It's calm, clear thinking. See you on the next vid.
So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, and that reminds me of a very, very important video that has came out. And this was very informational. And the reason I say that is because this says a lot about what's going on. All right, a lot of what's going on. So let's go ahead and react to this. I'm not going to react to the whole entire thing because this video is too long and I've been going on for quite a while now. Let's get it.
We knew the story of the international rules-based order was partially false.
Whoa. We knew the story of the rules-based order was partially false. Really?
Because you helped make it up.
Here we go. Right? Because you helped make it up. the rules-based order before and how it's BS. And now the Prime Minister of Canada. Now, this is the whole thing of why the West is supposed to be seen as moral. The West, meaning NATO, Europe, the United States, Canada,
the lizard people.
That we're all supposed to be better than places like Saudi Arabia and wherever, Iraq, Iran, because we follow a rules-based order, right?
What?
Since World War II, you know this, the rules-based order, and now the Prime Minister of Canada is now agreeing with Jimmy Dore that the rule-based order was always false. But first, I want to show you how I broke it down before.
With all due respect, Jimmy Dore, although you knew this information, they knew from the moment they created these so-called rule-based order. They knew every single action they took was contradictory to what they preach. So it really doesn't take a lot of people to understand the fact that these people are full of air. They like to claim the idea that, oh, we are democracy. Oh, we have the freedom of choice. Oh, you have the freedom to do this and freedom to do that. Meanwhile, when other countries do what they're doing, they go and either overthrow these countries or they put this country in a bad light. And one of the examples that I can give is when it comes to Iran. Did you know they pretty much overthrew a democratically elected, prime minister? This whole entire idea of, oh, we're bringing democracy is bullshit. Because trust me, democracy sounds fun. The ability to choose your leader, it sounds fun and nothing's wrong with it, but they use that as a trope to attack another country. Is the UAE a democratically elected leader? I mean, all you have to do to think about that answer to that is, what does Israel say? Oh, we're the only democracy in the Middle East. That's what they say. But yeah, you don't see them dropping bombs on UAE, even though they like to say that, oh, we are spreading democracy. What about Saudi Arabia? Turkey? What about Jordan? The reason why these places haven't gone completely decimated is simply because they agree with Israel. It's simply because they're following the rule-based order. You know what I mean? Any country who stands in the way of America and Israel, well, you get toppled even if you were a democratically elected leader. Look at Gaddafi. He followed the rule. He was part of the UN. He did everything you can name. He said it himself. He's like, I followed the rule. Why are they trying to, get rid of me and all these things? They told him, hey, go ahead and give up your nuclear deal and all these other stuff, and we'll go ahead and do blah, 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 blah. He said, oh, okay, cool. I can trust the American. I can do that. He went ahead and did it. A few years later, this guy's being sodomized, and he got unalive. Now Now Libya is an open slave market, because Americans brought democracy to Libya.
Just in Ukraine's interest. It is in the global interest to protect, as the Secretary pointed out, the rules-based international order.
The rules-based, meaning what we say goes, because we don't follow any rules. When we invaded Afghanistan and occupied it for 20 years, we weren't following any rules-based order. When we invaded Iraq and killed 1 million people, we weren't following any rules-based order. When we illegally invaded Libya, bombed out of them, turned that state into a failed state with open slave market, we weren't following any rules-based order. When we went and dropped 26,000 bombs in Syria, we weren't following any rules-based order. They call it rules-based order. What they mean is the United States rules the world. That's what this is about. So we don't follow any rules or order. That's all bull. Right now, we're occupying a third of Syria. Which third? The oil parts. We're stealing Syria's oil right now. What rule does that fall under? So what he's saying here, so you have to know what you're looking for. What he's actually saying, this is about us staying in control of the world.
Right.
Ukraine. He's just saying it. And if you don't know what the words mean, that's what they mean. We are going to be in control of the world, and that's why we're fighting in Ukraine. So.
And you got to give it to Jimmy Dore. He nailed it. I don't know exactly how long this video was, but he nailed it. And they knew from the get-go. Like I said, you just have to look at their pattern. You just have to look at the country they attacked. Most importantly, if you look at the Middle East, it tells you everything you need to know.
Guess who now agrees with me? The Prime Minister of Canada. I was watching my buddy Glenn Greenwald show.
He said Canada,
playing this video, and my jaw was on the floor. Let's watch.
For decades, countries like Canada prospered under what we call the rules-based international order.
So, for decades, Canada prospered under the rules-based order.
We joined its institutions, we praised its principles, we benefited from its predictability. And because of that, we could pursue values-based foreign policies under its protection. We knew the story of the international rules-based order was partially false.
Whoa. We knew the story of the rules-based order was partially false. Really?
Because you helped make it up.
Here we go. Right? Because you helped make it up. Here we go.
That the strongest would exempt themselves when convenient.
That the strongest countries would exempt themselves from the rules-based order when it was convenient.
I knew that too. Am I a fancy bank man?
Yeah. How did I know
got
that?
3 passports?
I've been saying that for years, ever since the beginning of forever. But certainly that video clip was from the beginning of the Ukraine war in 2022.
Hey,
and now
I'm a Davos man.
You got a Davos man, a guy who went to Oxford, Harvard, a guy who's been an international banker his entire life. He was the head of the bank, and now he's the head of Canada. And now he's saying that the rules-based order was false, but we went along with it because we prospered.
Did we?
So but now.
Trade exempt themselves when convenient. That trade rules were enforced asymmetrically.
That trade rules. So the first thing that was false about the rules-based order was that the biggest countries didn't follow them. The second one was that they didn't enforce trade rules equally. So again, it's might makes right. That's what the rules-based order is, which is what I was saying in 2022 after the invasion of the Ukraine. What do you want to say, Kurt?
They didn't call it the legal order.
Right.
They didn't say the law. They called it the rules-based order. So like a scumbag tech company, they can change the rules whenever they want without telling you.
So
a law's a little harder.
There used to be.
And how do you how are you going to be able to follow that? This is why, in order for you to be protected from America, you have to have a nuclear bomb. Look at North Korea. These guys were being bombarded in the news constantly, and then this guy became a nuclear bomb state, and then all of a sudden, you don't even hear about it. Does that mean that all of a sudden that the oppression of the North Korean has stopped? No, it's still going. But America's not going to fuck with them because they have a nuclear bomb. The reason Iran is still in the news is because they don't have a nuclear bomb. So in order for you to be protected from this rule-based order that they made up, and pretend that they're following it, you have to have a bomb. Am I okay with having a nuclear bomb? No, because this is a weapon that is mass destructive. This is a weapon that destroys indiscriminately. I don't believe no country, nation, or whatever should have such type of bomb. But this is how you protect you and your people from people like, from people like Donald Trump. If Maduro had a nuclear bomb, do you honestly think that they would have went over there and captured this guy? Perhaps not. If if Syria, Iraq, Yemen, Libya, if all these places that have been toppled and, the leaders have been replaced, if they had a nuclear bomb, do you honestly think that this rule-based order would have been applied? I'm learning a lot. And one thing that I've realized, America does not fuck with people who have bombs.
Be a saying,
he who has the gold makes the rules?
Yes. He who has the gold makes the rules. And so that's why they say rules-based order, and we had the gold, and we make the rules. So here he keeps going.
And we knew that international law applied with varying rigor depending on the identity of the accused.
And international law, did you hear what he said? He's saying international law only applied. Well, let me back it up.
And we knew that international law applied with varying rigor depending on the identity of the accused.
With varying rigor, meaning that the law was applied at our leisure, that it wasn't applied universally, and it depended on if the law was going to be applied towards the United States, it didn't. But if it applied towards something like Iraq or Libya or Syria or Russia, then it mattered.
Right.
But okay, so we didn't. Okay.
For the victim, this fiction was useful. And American hegemony, in particular, helped provide public goods, open sea lanes, a stable financial system.
So he's saying this fiction that everything was equal and everybody followed rules-based order, even though we didn't, even though it was might make right, even though it was unequal enforcement of the law. We all pretended that it wasn't those things. We pretended it was on the up and up and it was rules-based order because we all profited from this lie.
And now the reason why he's exposing all of this is because the gun has not been turned to European countries. Greenland. America is not looking at Greenland. America is not trying to do what it did to the Middle East by either toppling a leader or taking the land and then putting the new leader over there. So now he's like, hey, yo, you're looking at us. First of all, that's not going to happen because this rule-based order, it didn't apply to us. It only applied to the brownies over there. That's why he's saying what he's saying. And this is very damning because other countries are going to look at this and say, wait a minute. You haven't been following the rules that you have been imposing upon us? Hey, Like I said, the whole game was rigged from the get-go. It has been rigged, and all you had to do was just look at it, just see. And that's what I'm doing. And I'm like, holy shit. I'm learning a lot more than I have my whole entire school year.
Don't tell Konstantin Kisin from Trigonometry.
Right?
This. He's going to take this hard.
Right? And by the way, this isn't like Zoloft Mondavi saying this.
No.
This is the most fastball down the middle globalist you can find is this guy. He's not a lefty. He's not a radical. It's not Noam Chomsky. It's not Zoloft Mondami saying
international banker.
He's an international banker who went to Oxford, went to Harvard, now is the head of Canada, eh? And he's saying it, that it was always bull, but nobody said anything because we all prospered under it. Okay.
Well, I said something and you said something.
But I said something.
That's weird. He means him and his dickhead friends prospered.
That's right. Here we go.
Collective security and support for frameworks for resolving disputes. So we placed the sign in the window. We participated in the rituals. And we largely avoided calling out the gaps between rhetoric and reality. This bargain no longer works. Let me be direct.
So they went along with it. But now it no longer works.
Because it costs them money.
So they never said shit about Iraq. They never said shit about Libya. They never said anything about Syria. They never said anything about Venezuela.
They never said anything about the usurp of the wealth of Africa that's continuously keep happening. And every single time the African try to overthrow a puppet that has been imposed, guess what? They don't say shit about any of these places because they all benefited. But there's only so much resources, and guess what? Over time, people wake up to these things, and now they want their own resource back. And so America notices this. He's starting to notice it. Now he's saying, yo, these brownies are waking up. Before you know it, what we did to them is going to start happening to us. So we need to start speaking out now before that takes place. And step number 1 is taking Greenland. And because of that, you have this international douchebag who has let everything slide. Now he's saying, okay, now we need to put a stop to it. Fine.
They never said anything about Afghanistan, about Yemen, about Somalia, about the Sudan. They never said anything about anything. And in fact, they went along with the lie of Ukraine, that was somehow rules-based order. They went along with that even. But now the lie is starting to bite them in the ass, meaning they're going to go take Greenland away from Denmark.
There you go.
Okay, here we go.
We are in the midst of a rupture, not a transition. Over the past 2 decades, a series of crises in finance, health, energy, and geopolitics have laid bare the risks of extreme global integration. But more recently, great powers have begun using economic integration as weapons, tariffs as leverage, financial infrastructure as coercion, supply chains as vulnerabilities to be exploited.
Yeah, and so now it's affecting us. And so now we have to call out the lie, because now it's being pointed at us.
It's fine if it's you getting
It's fine if it's someone else's country, but now it's being pointed at us. They're doing tariffs on us now.
He's remarkably forthcoming.
It's unbelievable how he's actually telling the truth. People don't know how unbelievably important this is, what he's saying, because you can never undo this.
Nope.
Yeah, right.
You can never undo that he's saying this, that it has always been a lie. And they've all benefit under U.S. imperialism.
This isn't some jerk-off president of the United States. This is an international banker.
Someone who's really important.
Yeah, he's bigger than the president of Canada. I know he's Prime Minister of Canada. That means nothing.
That's right.
He's an international 3-passport banker, one of the highest authorities in the world.
He was the head of the Bank of England, wasn't he?
So you know he's a good man.
Yeah. So now he's saying, whoa, now the lie that we've all participated in, that was why we went into Ukraine, why all that other stuff was allowed to happen. Now it's coming back to Ed being pointed at us, and we have to make a righteous stand against it. That's what he's saying.
Hey, buddy, Chatham House, this one,
Yeah.
Chatham House rules this.
You cannot live within the lie of mutual benefit through integration when integration becomes the source of your subordination.
So he's saying we can't go along with the lie anymore because now it's being used against us. It's used for our subordination. That's what he's saying.
I know, Mark Carney. I got that impression quite some time ago.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Unbelievable.
As inevitable, as the natural logic of international relations reasserting itself. And faced with this logic, there is a strong tendency for countries to go along to get along, to accommodate, to avoid trouble, to hope that compliance will buy safety. Well, it won't. So what are our options? In 1978, the Czech dissident Václav Havel, later president, wrote an essay called The Power of the Powerless. And in it, he asked a simple question: how did the communist system sustain itself? And his answer began with the greengrocer. Every morning, the shopkeeper places a sign in his window: Workers of the world unite. He doesn't believe it. No one does. But he places the sign anyway to avoid trouble, to signal compliance, to get along.
So, Kurt, if you realize what he's doing here, Kurt, is he's telling you how communism lasted so long, the Iron Curtain and all that stuff.
And lockdowns.
Was because they all went along with the big lie.
Yeah.
And they all, workers of the world unite. Like they were pretending that that's what was happening under communism, which it wasn't what was happening.
My jaw has dropped. I thought you were exaggerating. I thought you were exaggerating a little bit. My jaw has been open the whole time. I cannot believe any of what's happening right now.
So he's saying just like that lie that he put in this is the workers of the world uniting, which it wasn't. That's not how the way they perverted communism. And so communism and the Iron Curtain was never about workers united. It was anyway.
They perverted socialism. That's what communism was. The appropriation by Wall Street bankers, by the way.
So now he's saying that lie, we've used just a similar lie to keep this capitalism going. And now it's time to stop the lie. Well, anyway, let's see. He keeps going.
So my question is, them stopping the lie, now what? What are they going to do? Start applying the rule base to everybody else? Or is what he's saying is that now it's about to be a free-for-all? What's going to happen?
And because every shopkeeper on every street does the same, the system persists. Not through violence alone, but through the participation of ordinary people in rituals they privately know to be false. Just
like what he's admitting, Kurt, what he's admitting is that we've all participated in this lie. Just like the shop owners in Czechoslovakia under the Iron Curtain, under communism. We've all participated in this lie. So we have one lie, our rules-based order lie, replaced another lie.
So we need a new one.
And so here we go.
Havel called this living within a lie. The system's power comes not from its truth, but from everyone's willingness to perform as if it were true.
Just like he's admitted that they performed along the rules-based order. It didn't come from the strength of the rules-based order didn't come from its truth. It came from the lie that everybody participated in. He's saying that. This is an international banker, head of the Bank of England.
I'm not going to lie. I love Jimmy Dore's energy on this one, bro. Because he's like, he's proven me right. I've been saying this for years.
Prime Minister of Canada, Oxford, Harvard. This is the guy saying that it was all a lie. We all participated in. You can't undo this.
They're banking on it.
Here we go.
And its fragility comes from the same source. When even one person stops performing, when the greengrocer removes his sign, the illusion begins to crack. Friends, it is time for companies and countries to take their signs down.
Oof.
4 decades. We shouldn't allow the rise of hard power to blind us to the fact that the power of legitimacy, integrity, and rules will remain strong if we choose to wield them together. Which brings me back to Havel. What does it mean for middle powers to live the truth? Well, first, it means naming reality. Stop invoking rules-based international order as though it still functions as advertised.
You said it never worked that way, and you knew it didn't, asshole. You said you knew it. You all knew. By the way, the COVID lockdowns, everybody going along to get along?
Yeah.
Carney, oh, wow, I hate him.
Call it what it is. A system of intensifying great power rivalry with the most
coercive. I'll back it up and play it for you again.
And you know what's crazy? The Middle East, they knew this way before the Americans knew about this. That's why they kept fighting. That's why they're labeled in the mainstream media as a bunch of T's. Because they knew this. They knew the American people don't give a damn about democracy. This whole entire rules that they have, they knew that this shit, they don't care about it. Because they tried to follow the rule. They tried to do democracy in the Middle East. But guess what? America said, nah, we want your oil. We want your country to be completely destabilized so that way we can usurp your wealth. Put sanctions on you. Because we just want it. And because we have the firepower to do it, we're gonna take it anyway. That's what they knew. That's what they've been trying to tell us. And now you have a white man sitting at the World Economic Forum that's literally telling us that this is what's been going on. And the Arabs are like, told you. I told you.
A system of intensifying great power rivalry.
A system of intensifying great power rivalry?
Where the most powerful pursue their interests using...
Where the most powerful pursue their interests using...
Economic integration as coercion.
Using economic integration as coercion.
The way he wanted to do, but he can't because he's mid.
But what's that?
They want to do that in Canada. They were, but they can't because they're a mid power. He
That's
said
right.
mid.
The mid. It's a mid power.
Mid.
Yeah.
You're being generous, buddy.
It's a generous to say mid, exactly.
Yeah.
And now that it got turned towards them with Trump's tariffs and wanting to take Greenland and now he's like, whoa, now we have to call the lie out.
Yeah, and Trump also said that anybody who does business with Iran is going to have a tariff imposed upon them. Shit.
Here we go.
It means acting consistently, applying the same standards to allies and rivals.
You know, the thing we've never done. Now we have starting now.
Starting now.
We're gonna act consistently, and we're gonna uphold the same standards on our friends as our rivals.
And you know what's crazy? He doesn't even call the shot. Yeah. He doesn't even call the shot. People think the leaders that are out there speaking on the podium and telling, oh, this is what we're doing, this is what we're going to do, they don't even call the shot. The true power, the true leaders, they're behind the shadow. These people are scheming up some shit, and they're the one that's really calling the shot. So him doing all this is nothing more than just lip service.
Starting now. You can't undo this. That was I was watching Glenn Greenwald. That's the point he made. I can't. And when he said, I was like, "You're right.
I can't wait to stick.
You
this in
can't
the
undo
face.
this. This is done forever. This is always going to be there.
You can't.
Yeah.
When middle powers criticize economic intimidation from one direction but stay silent when it comes from another.
Like we've always done.
Hey, Rich and Adam, watch this guy. You guys.
So what he's saying, we criticize economic coercion when it comes from places like China.
Yeah.
But we were quiet when it came from other places, like the United States.
Yeah. They weren't that critical of China either. Kind of let that seep in pretty quickly.
Well, now he's making economic alliances with China.
We are keeping the sign in the window.
We are keeping the sign. So, yeah. All right. So he's saying we were the ones perpetuating that lie. This is amazing.
Central digital currency. Here we come.
Yep. And so now you can't undo. And now Trump is called off, temporarily at least. Trump has called off his push to take over Greenland because they somehow appeased him. He got something else, and it's some future deal about the Arctic. I don't know what it is.
I feel like they're not telling us what it is.
Yeah, this is breaking news. But by the way, we've known that this has been a dream of the technocrats. Kurt, I don't know if you saw the segment I did before I brought you on, but this has been a dream of the technocrats to get from Venezuela to Greenland and the Arctic under a techno state.
Yeah, the Noahide. I keep saying Noahide techno state. Professor Zhang calls it Pax Judaica because they're going to make the capital in Israel now. But that's Elon's grandpapa wanted that.
Yes, Elon.
That's what Zbigniew Brzezinski. It's the Greater America Project.
Yes, this is the Greater America Project. That's exactly right, Kurt.
So I think we're going to be de-enslaved from England, how we were for the last century, and now enslaved by Israel. We're going to be out of that thing because World War I, that was Britain, brought us into that. This guy's a tool of England, right? Head of the Bank of England. NATO is a tool of their stupid soft power. All the Ivy League schools and all these scumbags it's British soft power. But now we're going right under Israel completely and not under the, because Bush and Obama and them are all related to the king and queen. You know that, right?
I think I had heard that before.
Yeah, they're all related. It's just one. It's like World War I, where a bunch of families got in a fight, and they tell you it's because someone shot which makes zero sense.
The Archduke.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Who cares?
So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you get the whole entire idea now. All in all, the gun is now turning on them, and they're not happy with that. They don't like that. So now they're gonna start calling it out. It's only a matter of time now before. Well, you guys remember the 100-year war? Yeah. Anyways, this stream has gone on for way too long. Way too long. I have never gone for 2 hours before. Whew. It's because I started to see more and more people come in, and so I figured let me go on a little bit longer. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you made it this far, please, just hit that button down there, man. Subscribe, and then we're gonna go ahead and keep going live, and then you can, tune in.